Well, they've been communicating all the time. It's just that the little vignettes that have been received by the British press or other, the Australian press and so forth, loves to inflate and distract what is truly going on.
Speaking of Princess Diana, you obviously knew her on a level that most people did not as her voice coach. How did we see her relationship play out with Queen Elizabeth on screen, on the Crown and things like that, but behind closed doors, how would you have described their dynamic?
Well, it was very close at the very beginning of Diana's experience or career with the royal family. It was very close. Then, of course, it went through a period of great distance where Queen Elizabeth was always, or her Madge was always available to Diana. But because of the difficulties that Diana was experiencing in relation to Prince Charles, that there was a certain distance, a period of renegotiation of energies, shall we say. And then towards the latter part, there were some very formal meetings where a relationship was recovered or revitalized. And, Diana always had immense respect for the lady of the top job, as she would call him. Had comments and not necessarily criticisms, but comments and observations about the nature of the style of Queen Elizabeth in dispatching her royal duties. But that was about something completely different. It was much more to do with not Her Majesty herself, but to do with the nature of the quality of force that existed within the men in grey suits.
Did they have any sort of relationship at the time of her death?
Yes, it was distant, but they were. I mean, they would speak once a month telephonically.
Interesting. There have been obviously these reports about Harry's security issues, and that is putting some stress on the Queen. Do you think that is true? Do you think that, kind of airing these, dirty laundry once again is putting some stress on the Queen? Obviously, in her Jubilee year, she probably wants her whole family there, but with these security issues, it may not be possible.
I would think she would probably see it as being a great distraction to this really important year of celebration, of renewing her vows within the duty of her relationship with the people of the Commonwealth and the people of this nation, of the United Kingdom. She would see it as a huge distraction and would simply, whatever, just a hiccup on the horizon of what is taking place through the vicissitudes of obviously the young people within the family, namely Kate and William, are negotiating their way into how they can successfully fulfill the nature of the monarch's role, or support it at least. And Harry and Meghan are trying to do their own thing and liberating their own consciousness. So, interestingly, the Queen is completely au fait with all that's going on. I mean, there is constant communication happening between all parties.
Do you think it is too much of a risk for Harry to come to the UK without this extra protection? We had, I spoke to a royal security officer, and he explained that it really could be a risk because the private police protection doesn't have the same protection as the police could provide. So do you think it is too much of a risk for Harry to come?
Well, at the moment, yes, but I think for all sorts of other reasons to do with COVID and to do with the nature of the changing vicissitudes within the British government at this time, because we're looking at the possibility of the fact that Boris Johnson will not remain as Prime Minister. Anyway, that's another subject. But, what will take place is what took place before, meaning that there will be some form of backing from a friend of Harry's and Meghan to provide them with the finance to afford full security. So when they arrive for the Jubilee celebrations, everything will be perfectly fine.
I hope so. I hope to see them there. I'm sure the entire family is anxious to see Lilibet and Archie. I mean, he has grown so much over the past 2 years. We had reporting that Harry actually organized a Zoom call between the cousins. Do you think that means that, things are starting to get back on the right track between Harry and William and, everybody's kind of communicating again?
Well, they've been communicating all the time. It's just that the little vignettes that have been received by the British press or other, the Australian press and so forth, loves to inflate and distract what is truly going on, as is the nature of the press at this time, it would seem, not with US Weekly. You're always absolutely on the ball with your candor and your veracity. But other press mechanisms tend to, these are times that are very unsettling. They're very quaking for every nation of the world, are they not?
Right.
We're just coming out, possibly. Let's all pray that we're coming out of a global pandemic, which has also affected our economic status around the world. So many countries are experiencing great hardships to do with the supply chains not working sufficiently and the central organizing principles moving through some degree of quake. And so this is a difficult time. And, what's happening with each member of the family is that they're constantly, they're constantly really processing all that's necessary to keep the family fabric alive. It's just that we don't hear about the intimate calls that are taking place. But, for example, William and Harry speak all the time via Zoom.